How we doing, everybody? It's Chase. Nice to be back with you all. This week we got a bit of a special video. If you know, in the past I've done other quote-unquote specials like Trading Psychology Part 1 and 2, portfolio management video that can somewhat relate to this video. Go back and check those out. You just type in Crypto Chase Portfolio Management, or I think it's Chase NL Trading Psychology. There's a bunch of different video specials, and this will be another to add to the addition. As usual, these videos are sponsored by Prime XBT. Shout out to them. My links are at the bottom. You give them a shot. As usual, nothing in this video constitutes as financial advice. I'm simply relaying my strategy. It may not be the best strategy. It may not be your strategy. In fact, it shouldn't be. You should just try to learn some things from this and develop your own system. Now this video is all about crypto crashes and how I play them, because I'm seeing a lot of people talk about getting liquidated and getting stopped out, and there's a major problem with that, and a lot of people don't seem to grasp the difference that demand zones in crypto, when very far away, can be they can be pushed through due to chain liquidation, chain stop outs, etc. So this was a common thing a common theme that I've seen this week, and specifically for Bitcoin, right? First, let's cover what I bid. Okay, when the crypto crash began, I took my four strongest, or what I believed would be the four coins, so to say, that would bounce well, and where nothing too crazy would happen. In my opinion, that was Bitcoin, Ethereum, AVAX, and Solana. Okay, I got filled on three of those, and the fourth one, Solana, I missed by literally like $2 or something. So that was unfortunate. But here's a big point that I need to make right off the bat. There's a big difference, okay? There's a huge difference between buying a demand level when, so let's just say, you have a typical move up here, right, from demand. Typical demand here, move up. There's a big difference between buying this like this with a stop down here and buying this. Let's say there's some type of a mass cascade of liquidations one day, and putting your and thinking that you're going to get a perfect hit of the level and you can put your stop right below the demand. That's not how it works. Okay, and this seems to be complicated for some people. I don't understand why. When price is coming down like that, you're getting chain liquidation. This person's getting stopped out. This person's getting liquidated. This person's getting stopped out. This person's getting liquidated. Stopped out, liquidated. It's not just going to bounce fucking perfectly off the level, okay? It's going to pierce through sometimes and do some crazy shit, and then you'll get that second test. So if you don't have the balls or the knowledge or whatever you want to say, or the risk management, you're over leveraging, if you can't deal with this first swing, then play the second level tap. Okay, so that I'll say that right off the bat, because I saw a lot of complaining about that. It's like, this level didn't hold, this level didn't hold. To be honest, Bitcoin is the only coin where the level didn't properly hold. In my opinion, this is why, moving forward from here, this isn't really a stream about where I think price is going, but I will say briefly that I would feel much more comfortable in Ethereum right now than I would Bitcoin. This looks like shit. If this reclaims towards 53, you'd expect people would probably want to get out. But the thing is, if it does reclaim to 53, Bitcoin usually doesn't give like opportunity like that, right? So if it's actually going to nuke and there's all these people waiting for a bounce to de-risk, we're not going to get a bounce, and it's just going to do whatever, who knows, and down more. And if it does get to 53, you'll probably get like a little rejection, then we're probably going to go back up, like something like that. Because you typically don't get the opportunity, if all these people want to de-risk and everyone's talking, oh, I'm nervous, on the next bounce I'm going to sell, you typically don't get that. Yeah, you know the usual. Got to take my water breaks. Okay, so let's talk about first. We'll talk about the levels, um, and we'll talk about how I played them. First, we'll talk about the one that I did wrong. Okay, ETH was a big winner. AVAX was a big winner. Bitcoin was basically a break even, in profit now, but I've mostly closed it out anyway. I had this low marked out right here. I thought this was demand level right in here, and then you had this low that looked juicy. Okay, plowed right through it. Now, why didn't I get stopped out? Why didn't I get liquidated? Because literally what I just talked about. When you have mass liquidations and you have huge moves, I am not using a stop and I don't have a liquidation point. So what does that mean? That means that I'm typically going in with maximum 1x leverage, maybe with, or spot, or 2x leverage. And basically what I'm saying is I'm taking a small portion of my portfolio. I talked about this on Twitter, and this will be sort of the gist of it right here. What I do is I take about 10 to 15% of my portfolio for big crash days, and I layer in on 3 to 4 coins that I have a firm belief about proper levels, okay, on a high time frame, like a daily or a weekly, where I have conviction. And I get into these with that 10%, and then I have like another 5% on the side in case I need to average down a bit, and maybe I move the leverage up to 1.5 or something. Point being is that I'm not putting myself in any type of danger except for if crypto literally dies. So if we didn't stop at 49 and we went to, or if we, let's do ETH because ETH was cleaner. If we didn't stop at 35, I was going to add more in the tank right around 31. Okay? Now, if we broke through here and we just kept going down, this is where it sort of starts to get a little sketchy for me, right? Now, this is where I start to slowly but surely add and move the leverage up a bit from 1x to 1.5x or so, and I'd add again at this level. Okay, if it goes down more, I'd probably try adding once more right around these lows. Okay, once we wiped out all those lows, and once all this happens, we're already at 1500, right? So from 4500, we're now at 1500. If it just keeps going down, then in my opinion, crypto's dead for the immediate short term, right? And unfortunately, worst case scenario, I have lost 15% of my portfolio, maybe 10%. It really depends how I've been playing it. But point is I'm never risking the lifestyle. I'm never risking the bank. What I'm risking is I take a percentage of my portfolio, typically 10 to 15%. If you watch portfolio management, on all parabolic moves, I'm always moving into stables on parabolic moves. It's something I consistently do, and I have those stables on the side, and I say, hey, time to bring these boys out. Not all of them, but it's time to bring some of those soldiers out, put them on the front line. They're going to war. And this was an old analogy I did. I try to find the very best levels I can because I want those soldiers coming back. Those are my little green soldiers. They gotta come back home. You know what I'm saying? So when you see levels like this that I have literally plotted out back in October, we were around this price, and I said we're going to here. I mean, I don't know if I said we're going to here, but I said it's a possibility. And I said if we go down here, I'm buying, and then I'm looking for 5K from there. So maybe it still comes true, maybe it doesn't. But point being, already got, off of my 3,400, 3,500 something entry, 3,450, already got 20%. Okay, now when you start adding that up, right, let's say you take 10% of your portfolio and all your bids hit, right? So everything hit, and you took some quick profits at 20%. Maybe you took half, maybe you took 75%. I was talking about taking profits on Twitter. I called when I was taking profits. I took profits on AVAX 95, literally the pip. Hit the pip on the buy, hit the pip on the sell, by the way. Also took some profits on ETH at 3,900 and took some more recently around 42. Excuse me. Point being is, right, if you pull a 20% on 10% of your portfolio, you're now up like 2% total in your portfolio. if you were at 2x leverage and you got 20%, you're now at, you've added 4% to your portfolio. And I mean, in traditional finance, if you're invested in the S&P or something, you can expect maybe 10% in a year. So while 2 to 4% in a day may not sound crazy to some people, I think if you talk to any, more experienced trader, someone who has a, I'm not saying I have a multi-million-dollar portfolio or anything like that, but if you talk to anyone who's probably average sized, I mean, to pull back 4% in a day, is quite nice. That's a good return. So this is typically how I deal with the crash days. Is it's a lot of major levels, right? You go for the major levels. Major level here, right? Look, resistance, swing low, perfect tap. Take some profits on the first move up, leave a little moon bag, okay? Resistance, swing low. Once again, super clean, tapped right into it. Take some profit right on the move up, right? Take your initial profit. Interesting that this didn't hold that much. That's why I would feel more confident in Ethereum right now than I do with Bitcoin, because it's interesting that this level basically provided no resistance whatsoever. You just went right back through it. Unfortunately, my Solana bid missed, but again, it would have been a clean entry off the daily, origin and impulse area, back upwards, would have took some profit right around here, 195. Okay, and Bitcoin. Oh, what did I do with Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin obviously went down heavy, right? Went way past my entry. So what I'm always thinking is when something goes way past my entry is that, other, maybe it's cocky, but other quote unquote somewhat smart money, let's say, would have had bought in here. And when this comes back up, this should be some type of resistance area. And it looks like it somewhat is, it's somewhat not, right? You have this high sort of capping this at the moment, in my opinion. But it looks like it's flipping back to support slowly but surely. But, who knows? We could just chop around here for a bit. Anyway, since it pushed through, what I did was right when it came back up, I basically chopped I think it was 50 or 75% off immediately. And then I've chopped off the rest since then. I don't want a buy in here when the low is here. This buy is what I want. This buy is what I want. And this buy is what I wanted but didn't get. Okay? So, wrapping things up, honestly, it's, maybe I made more of it than I should have. The strategy is not that complicated. It's identify levels on either the daily, the 3-day, or the weekly. Okay? Utilize 1x leverage to start. Utilize 10% of portfolio value. Okay? If your portfolio value is $1 million, you're using 100,000 USDT. You're picking 3 coins, probably 3 or 4, or you could do 2, anywhere from 2 to 4. I wouldn't put it all into one asset because you never know what can happen with one asset, right? What if AVAX had some weird, some weird liquidation spree and it just printed this monstrous wick? Well, then you have to, and it's not represented on other exchanges. Well, then you have to speak to the exchange and you have to hope that they're going to reimburse you and whatnot. Better than to put everything into one coin is to have split it up a little bit and play a couple different levels. Because look, if I put everything into the Bitcoin trade, I would have been instantly underwater heavy and, probably wouldn't have came out with a lot of profit because I probably would have added here and then had an average entry around here and would have gotten 5% out of the whole entire day for that portion of my portfolio, right? So I would have got a 5% move. But instead, this one was a break even. I got 20% out of ETH, and I got 20% out of the AVAX move. Okay? And, I mean, for me, that's a good day. Especially when using that amount of portfolio value. Now, it can be different for anyone, right? You can go with, if you're a smaller account, maybe you're thinking, oh, I'm going to use 20% portfolio value on that day. That's okay. Here, the thing that you have to understand is that if you get liquidated, right? You literally want crypto to be like dead. That's what you have to pre-plan for. So you do some of your entry here. You save some bullets for here. You save some bullets for this swing low. You save some bullets for here. And I understand that if you're saving, then, where do the gains come from? I do understand that, but it's very difficult to speak to people who I have no idea who's watching this, and I have no idea if they know how to properly manage their position, leverage. Do they have funds if they need to add a little bit? Like, do they know how to add? Do they know how to trim? Right? That was a big thing that I did on this one. My Bitcoin buy was shit. So right when it came up, I trimmed immediately, and that really reduced my risk right off the bat, and then all I had was 2 big winners. Okay? So that is why when I do these videos, especially like these video specials talking about portfolio management and how to deal with crashes and whatnot, that some of the shit has to be slightly vague, but hopefully, you're catching on and you're understanding that, this is a major level here. And this is a good place where you can instantly deploy probably, if you're split up into 3 coins, then you have 33%, per coin. I mean, you're instantly deploying 20% here, you're saving 5% for here, you're saving 5% for here, and you're saving 5% for here, right? That adds up to about 35 or, 33, like we were just saying, okay? So you're still getting a majority of your size at the first level of extreme interest, and then you have some more for in case there's death, or quote unquote destruction, because death is down here, right, where it's really over, sub 1,000, right, something like that. But that's really the gist of the whole thing. Is make sure that you have bullets in the tank, you know how to manage, you know how to trim, and above all is that you have good, strong, levels. Levels is core to my trading system. It's all about the levels. And, it didn't get much cleaner than this, right? You had your resistance here. You had your resistance here. Typically, resistance flips to support. You never even got a retest, right? We've talked about this before. You didn't even get a retest. All you got was this tiny little wick, and it did not retest the level fully. This is the level right here, right? So resistance, you get a tiny wick. You've never gotten a retest. You didn't retest here, you didn't retest here, you didn't retest here. This was the level. Boom, key. Like, honestly, looking back, I believe that it was a very big mistake by me that I even looked at Bitcoin on this. I should have just did ETH, AVAX, and SOL, and it would have came out better. Why? Because the Bitcoin level was never clean. Everyone was talking about this level, and I said, this just doesn't make sense. And then I figured, okay, well, we have value around here, right? You have resistance, and you have the origin. You have resistance, and the origin of the up move. Okay, that's sort of how I saw this, right? You have resistance, and then this area right here is what began this uptrend. And typically, what you get in crypto is you get a retest of the origin, and you bounce. And now you can see that this actually does matter right here, because now you're getting a test of this level and it's working out right. But unfortunately, I don't know what the fuck this was. And that's why I'm not very interested in Bitcoin at the moment. I guess now we're getting into a little bit more of my thoughts for short term, moving in towards sort of the typical videos that I do. But yeah, I just don't understand this wick really. I think price was supposed to bounce off of here, and since it didn't, I'm presuming that this was either some type of to get a major player out, or it's simply weaker than I expected. And if it is weaker than expected, then we're not even going to rally to 53 to give people the bounce that they want to get out. Because I presume that's what a lot of people want now. They say, oh, just give me one more bounce and I'll get out. And if it does happen, it's probably going to go higher. And it's probably just not going to happen, in my opinion. I mean, stocks are opening decent, but I mean, this is a little weird. We'll see what happens. I mean, this is a major level that we had here. If you follow my Twitter, you know we did SPY calls off this low, got a strong bounce, closed them, it retested. This is definitely an interesting spot. As we know, stocks typically only go up, but it's really up to the Fed and Powell and whether they're gonna, even when they start talking about increasing rates, all they got to do is talk about increasing rates, and the market completely spooks. And I mean, it's everything, right? Like, I mean, some of these things just look like literally like going into bear market. Like this stuff is ugly, man. These are some ugly charts. Anyway, this isn't really a stock stream, but point being is, I mean, if they do decide to raise rates and whatnot, I mean, Bitcoin's gonna go lower, I would expect. And even though ETH is like, honestly, ETH is the strongest of them all right now, in my opinion. ETH looks better than AVAX. I'm really, AVAX I guess could retest this level and survive. That might just be a part of its story, so to say. But this doesn't look good. You get a bounce and you immediately go red day. Sol, I mean, I don't know. I guess it has the SAM bid constantly. You know why it has the SAM bid? Because look at that front run. Typical SBF front run right there every fucking time. Yeah, not even going to talk about that. It is the only exchange I could never get a fill on for some reason. Everywhere else I get perfect limit fills, but there, I don't think I ever got one in my life. Literally missed. Actually, what was the final straw for me was I didn't get a fill on DOT before it took off. Literally DOT at like $3 or something, and I didn't get a fill. Where was it? I don't even think this is it. There's not enough data, but somewhere back here there was more data, and I didn't get a fill on DOT before it took off. I got like front run by the tiniest bit, and everywhere else it hit, and that was my final straw over there. Anyway, so yeah, Sol front run, AVAX hit perfectly. I mean, again, look at this stuff, guys. You don't get any better than this, right? I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the price action. Resistance, origin of it, like resistance, but also origin of impulse, right? This is the area that made us break through the resistance. Then you get a little retest, and there's a swing low here, an obvious swing low. Perfectly tapped it, right? And, I posted this all on Twitter beforehand. All of it was posted beforehand. I said I'm looking to buy 78. When we were literally up here or something, I said I'm looking to buy 78. And within a couple hours, boom, 78 and good bounce to 95. Okay, is there anything else to talk about? Yeah, so BTC, don't like the look of it. ETH looks pretty good, honestly, for what we just had happen. Interested to see where this is going to go. AVAX doesn't look great, but also doesn't look bad, honestly, because as long as this level holds, everything is fine. And Solana, yeah, as long as this level holds right in here, I think everything is fine as well, for the most part. So the only thing I'm not liking the look of right now is Bitcoin. Not really liking the look of it much at all. It's okay though, because if you follow my portfolio management video, during parabolic moves, I'm always taking profit, and I was taking profit during these moves. I tried to add in here, right? So all this profit that I was taking in here, I tried to add some back here. Did not like the look of it whatsoever. Got out on the bounce. And hey, it could go up. That's perfectly fine. But I'm not trying to be a buyer. And this is just something that goes for in general with trading. I'm not going to be a buyer here when the thing goes down another fucking 10% or whatever. I'm always looking to be a buyer, not necessarily like only on the wick, right? Like you do have to have some leniency to your buy. But when it comes to these massive liquidation moves, I'm looking to be towards the bottom. I'm looking to have my levels, hit well and be respected. And that's what happened for ETH and AVAX, and should have happened for Sol. I don't know what this little $2 front run is, but it is what it is, because nothing else front ran like that. And that's about it. So, trying to think about if there's anything else to discuss. It's been an interesting week, The crash stuff really brings excitement to me. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's because I typically know that if I keep my cool and I stick with the levels that I have spent months thinking about. I've literally put months of time thinking, well, not months of time, but like over a span of months. I've charted this chart and this level and this low probably 200 fucking times on fresh charts, and I've always said, yeah, this is it. This is the level. I know it is. I've done that on AVAX as well. I said, this is the level. I know it is. And it's a game of psychology, and it's also a game of risk management, making sure you have that set amount of your portfolio aside to where even if the worst things happen in the market, all you do is lose 10% of your portfolio or 20% of your portfolio or whatever your number's going to be. But you know that you're going to be okay, and you have trust in your levels. You have the risk planned out ahead of time. You know how to add when you need to. You know how to trim when you need to. And it's not that hard, right? You add at major support levels. You trim at major resistance levels. If your level gets blown through, like it did for me on BTC, when you get that little bounce to your level, that's when you take some profit and you get out a little bit. Look, this is what happened during the heat of the moment. I tweeted this and I said, I talked about that 46.9K entry, and during the heat of the moment, we got a bounce to 48K. I got out like 75% or 50% or whatever, like immediately. You know, I was managing all this different shit, so I'm not sure. 1 second. But that's what you need to do when these moments come. And I think that's why I get so excited, because now I've done this probably 3 crashes in a row. My very first crash was one of my liquidations. I remember that back in, I don't know if it was 2018 or maybe. And the only difference between then and now was that back then I didn't know how to manage my risk or my leverage. And I was too greedy, and I was looking for too much of a gain, and I was adding, I started with I started with like 5x, then I was 20x. That's actually probably higher than it could be, because I'd probably be liquidated already. But point being, when the numbers were smaller, right, I was adding and adding and adding and adding and adding, and eventually, it just kept going down, and boom, there's your liquidation. But if you're not going overboard with the leverage, and you have, sufficient funds to play around, 1x, 2x lev, and you can manage that, these can be some of your very best days. And for me, at least, the past 3 crashes have literally, make typically what I make in, I want to say a couple weeks, or maybe even up to like 2 months, all in one day, because of these major moves. And you just get major responses, and I typically use a lot more risk on these days than I do, but that's because I know, like I've said, this is what I keep saying. If my levels aren't holding, then there's something very wrong, and I'm keeping my leverage low, and I'm ready to add and add and add. And look, if I add 2 or 3 times and none of these major levels are holding, I mean, it's fucking over. It's as simple as that. So I don't really give a fuck if I'm, trying to see this great gain that I've gotten the past, 3 crashes every single time. And if this is the time that it doesn't work, well, so fucking be it. But, I'm going to keep going and keep going and keep going, because it keeps working. And if there's the one time where, hey, if it says at the top of the news, crypto died on, so-and-so date, and all they did was get me for 15% of my portfolio, hey, fuck it. It was a good time while it lasted. And that's about it. Hope you guys have a great week. Hope that helped. Shout out to Prime XBT for sponsoring the videos. Catch you guys next week. Peace out.